Hi, Sky.
Holy cow! This lady has been all over the place. I mean, I even think I saw some TV shows in there. So, who is our speaker? Beat Shalett, a self-made immigrant who sold her business to Bill Gates and trains on balanced leadership and growth architecture. Now that's quite a mouthful. And now she's a professional speaker, consultant, and author of The Woman's Code. Her revolutionary system to help women cope, collaborate, and lead in their careers. Her proprietary methods specifically address women's obstacles, and she leads from experience, having survived in business in a highly competitive, male-dominated environment. Highly competitive. I wonder how our speaker advises women on how to adapt to highly competitive environments.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about women supporting other women in the workplace.
Ah, yes, the eternal sisterhood of love and support among women. We all know it is a tried and true institution.
Narito sir. Okay. Kids kayo naman din road. What's up? Tak считание видится состав ultimátní zápas. McGregor proti Mayweatherovi. Chill, uzor.
Why is it that some women are such bitches and backstabbers, and why is it that some women are just incapable of getting along with other women?
What? Are you telling me that there are women in high-pressure business situations who are either not agreeable, duplicitous, and/or competitive? How dare they betray their sisters? I am sure the Women's Code has the answers to the problem of women not seeing other women as inherent allies in business just because they're women. Which is totes not promoting sexism, of course.
In the Women's Code, we talk about women supporting other women and why that's such a big problem. Number one, if you think back in caveman times.
Yes, let me think back to caveman times. Is this an archaeology video? Or are we going into past lives territory?
When men went out, they had to find other men that were really good at a particular skill set, and they didn't care if they liked the guy, but if he was the fastest, the best shot, the best skin, or the guy with the strategy, what did they care? As long as they were able to hunt and survive, that was the thing. To this day, that's kind of how men support other men, by the pure motion alone that you need each other, and if the friendship occurs as an end result, that's kind of nice. That's what we see at work, men supporting other men.
So I really didn't have to think back to caveman times, since pragmatism and problem solving are pretty much human characteristics. Got it. But such characteristics are only limited to a male way of thinking? Women don't know how to, literally or figuratively, find the right tool for the job when it comes to completing a task?
But women, on the other hand, our survival was dependent on whether or not we had a provider because we couldn't provide for ourselves. So we have been in forever operating on the scarcity principle that there's not enough for us and that we somehow need a man to help us to survive.
Did our speaker miss the advent of first and second wave feminism? Did the women's liberation movement of the 60s and onward just go unnoticed by our speaker? Yes, women can survive in the absence of a male partner. However, many women choose to have male partners who then support them as they have and raise families. And that is not a bad thing.
That's no longer the case. Women are perfectly capable of making their own choices and advancing on their own, but we never learn how to utilize the support from other women until we are much older, usually 40, 45, 50, when we recognize that we spend all this time wasting on not having relationships with other women.
Women do not have relationships with other women until they are in their late 40s. Got it.
So it's about being really conscious that when you believe that there's only 2% of CEOs that are women, and only 13% of C-level executives that are women. If you believe that that's all there is for you, then of course you're going to have to take every woman out on the path there because you just don't think there's enough for all women.
So, women look at smaller percentages of other women in top business positions as targets, rather than as simply evidence of the feasibility of their achieving a top-level business position. Got it.
But if we're changing our thinking, believing that there's a 50-50, right, that 50% of that is ours and 50% of that is men, and the best candidate may truly win.
The best candidate can win, so long as a 50-50 balance between genders is maintained, which of course means some men and some women will need to be rejected, regardless of merit, to maintain this arbitrary division of representation. Got it.
Then suddenly we can support other women because we're not so worried that she's going to take away something from ourselves.
But she will. I mean, if you don't compete for the top jobs in business, you will not get the top jobs in business. Regardless of gender, there are only a limited number of top positions. Thus, there will be very few winners and many, many losers. If the winners are women, then many of the losers will also be women. So, if our speaker is saying that all of the women need to support all of the other women and not be competitive like the men are, I think our speaker's brand of women might lose out to an ambitious competitor.
And that's really the shift in the mindset on how you can start supporting other women in the workplace is by just knowing that when you advance, other women will advance with you.
No, that's not how it works. If you want people to advance on their own merits, gender cannot be a relevant factor. And if you want it to be a relevant factor, then you are promoting sexism in the workplace, which tempts violating federal law, just so you know.
And as you move ahead, other people behind you are going to move ahead, and so will be people in front of you moving ahead. So we really all in this together.
I really have to wonder if our speaker actually knows how business works and what sorts of results workplace competition creates. I mean, unless she means for businesses to operate as some kind of genderocracy, I think she may be out of luck.
So I hope this helps you understand a little bit of why it's so difficult and why we see such a friction of women in the workplace with each other.
Well, here's a theory that I have on that, and I stipulate to the fact that I am not any kind of psychologist or sociologist. But in regards to women being bitches or backstabby, or otherwise overly and overtly emotional in business culture, I think that is, in general terms, how women express themselves in competitive environments. Men generally keep their emotions under control, and they are more stoic, more outwardly subdued in some, not all, but in some of their competitive instincts. Women, however, well, look at high school rivalries for some of the bedrock of female competitiveness, or the old phrase, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned." I think if you try to tame the competitive side of women into some kind of unified kumbaya, you're going to end up with less successful women. At least, less successful on the only metric that seems to matter to our speaker, that being top positions and titles in a company. In big business, you're either a shark or a minnow. And female sharks? Well, they do tend to bite in order to succeed.
If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, engage in the conversation, tell me what you think.
I am more than happy to. This has been What I Think.
Or what you're experiencing at work. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.
Okay, I don't think you necessarily need to be a bitch or a backstabber or some other kind of awful person in order to succeed in big business. But this is real life, and you have to acknowledge that those people do exist, and that such people can become quite successful as a result of their evil doing. I guess my point is, if you stick your neck out for the good of the sisterhood, with an expectation that your good deeds will be repaid by your fellow women, don't be surprised if you end up as an ambitious woman's stepping stone rather than as her comrade in arms. As always, thank you for watching.